You want to know what I've learned spending millions of dollars in paid ads and buying leads? I'll share a few lessons that can really help you, especially really any entrepreneur, but as an independent life insurance agent. And I'll share where I've seen a lot of agents struggle. But I'll tell you some lessons that I've learned, as we've spent millions in paid ads and buying leads. When you buy a lead, you run your own paid ads. It's the same concept, but the concept I want to share is the fact that the biggest lesson I want to share is the fact that your ROI will decrease as you scale. And this is where a lot of agents really get stuck and they stay too small, in my opinion. And so I want to share what I mean. So let's say, for example, that you go out and you spend $100 in leads, and maybe you're able to go sell a policy, and you're able to generate $2,000. Well, that's a 20 times return. And you can absolutely do that. You could turn $100 into $2,000, which is what's amazing about this business. And you can do that in a lot of things. And so that's a great 20x ROI on your spend. The problem is, if you think that you're always going to get a 20x return, that's where it holds you back, because as you scale, what happens is the cost to generate that lead typically at some point gets harder at scale. It goes up, the cost, and also the ability to process the business, to make the sales efficiently, also increases. So it's hard to maintain a 20 times return on your lead investment. But so this is, sorry, I thought somebody was talking to me. So this is why, as you scale, you got to pay attention to this. But if you think about it, if you spend, you got to really look at the actual math. If you spend $100 in ads and buying leads, and you turn that into $2,000, you actually made a $1,900 profit. So that's awesome. You made $1,900. But let's use the same example, but let's say you only get a 5 times return. Let's say you spend $1,000 in leads and paid ads and leads. You spend $1,000 and you make $5,000. You only got a 5 times return versus a 20 times return, but you actually made more money. You made $4,000 profit. You spent $1,000, brought $5,000 in, you made a $4,000 profit. So the question is, at the end of the day, would you rather make $1,900 or would you rather make $4,000? And for most of you, I think you would agree you'd rather make $4,000. Now let's use the same example. What if you spent $10,000 in paid leads and paid ads? What if you spent $10,000 and you made $30,000? You only had a 3x return. However, you actually made $20,000. You spent $10,000, brought in $30,000. That's a $20,000 profit. So the question is, would you rather make $1,900? Would you rather make $4,000? Or would you rather make $20,000? And you made $20,000 on a much lower ROI. And I've seen agents just continue to struggle with this same concept for years, and they stay small because they're stuck on the ROI instead of the dollar figure. That's what scaling looks like. You don't have to be, as David and I scaled, we didn't always get the best ROI, but I understood that basic math that I just shared. I'll give you another example. What if you spent $100,000 and you only had a 3 times, right? That means 100,000 turns into 300,000. That's $200,000 of profit. So again, would you rather get a 20x return and make $1,900 or a 3x return and make $200,000? That is how you scale. For a lot of you, this may or may not make sense, but somebody watching will take this, and if you'll get this concept and you'll focus on the actual net profit, the actual math, not just the ROI, it can help you scale to the moon.